I wake up in a hospital bed with 3 broken ribs and a punctured lung, and the first thing the nurse tells me is that my sister signed a financial waiver and left. She was here for 20 minutes. 20 minutes. While I was in surgery. While a machine was breathing for me. My sister Ilara Voss walked in. Signed a paper saying she wouldn't take responsibility for any of it. And walked out like she was late for lunch. 5 days later. She comes back. Calm, composed, walks up to the nurse's station and asks if I've been discharged yet. The nurse, her name is Marilyn Cross, the same woman who checked on me every 2 hours for 5 straight days, looks Ilara straight in the eyes and says one sentence. And from my hospital bed, through the glass window, I watch the color drain from my sister's face. My name is Soren Lane. I'm 29 years old, and this is the story of how my own sister tried to kill me for an inheritance, and how I made sure she lost everything. Before we continue, take a moment to subscribe, but only if you've ever realized that not everyone who calls themselves family will truly stand by you. And I'd really like to know where you're listening from. What's the weather like there right now? Just a quick note, this is a fictional story, with some elements enhanced by AI to make it more vivid and engaging. Now, let me take you back to the night of the accident. It was a Tuesday in March. I had just finished a 12-hour shift at Riverview Health Clinic. Flu season. Understaffed. Exhausting. But normal. I was driving home along Highway 16, a road I knew so well I could drive it blindfolded. A narrow stretch of asphalt winding through low hills and pine trees, guardrails hugging every curve, nothing unusual. I reach the first sharp turn just past an old wooden bridge. I press the brake. Nothing. I press harder. The pedal sinks all the way down, like stepping into wet sand. No resistance, no slowing. My hands tighten around the wheel. The curve is coming fast. I pump the brake once, twice, 3 times, but there's this hollow, terrifying feeling, like the car has forgotten how to stop. Headlights sweep across the guardrail. I jerk the wheel to the right, aiming for the shoulder, but there is no shoulder, just gravel, then metal. The car slams into the guardrail and the world explodes into noise, glass shattering, metal screaming, and something inside my chest breaks. I feel it before I hear it, 3 sharp cracks, like snapping dry branches. Then silence. I'm hanging sideways in my seatbelt. Blood fills my mouth. There's a ringing in my ears, or maybe it's a siren far away. A paramedic's face appears through the shattered window. His lips move, but I only catch fragments. Punctured lung, multiple rib fractures. Stay with us. And just before everything fades to black again, I hear someone say, "Someone already called her sister." I hold on to that. In the darkness behind my eyes. I think Ilara is coming. I'll be okay. That was the last time I trusted her. I come out of surgery 31 hours later. The room is stark white. The ceiling tiles are dotted with tiny perforations. Hundreds of them. Like a pattern that never ends. I count them because there's nothing else to focus on. No flowers, no cards, no coat hanging over the chair in the corner. The door opens and a nurse steps in, mid-40s, dark hair neatly pinned back, reading glasses resting on a thin chain around her neck. She checks my IV, adjusts the oxygen monitor, then glances at the drainage tube at my side. Her badge reads, Marilyn Cross, RN. How long was I out, I ask. My voice feels rough, like gravel scraping against itself. About a day and a half. She says, "The surgery went well. You'll be in pain for a while." I turn my head toward the empty chair. "Has anyone been here?" She pauses, just for a second. But I've worked in healthcare long enough to recognize what that silence means. Your sister came the first night, she says carefully. She said she stayed about 20 minutes. 20 minutes. She signed a financial release form. Marilyn adds. Then she left. I don't know what my face shows, but something in her expression softens. She gently pulls the blanket higher over my shoulder. It's a small gesture, almost nothing, but it's the first real kindness I've felt since waking up. That night. I call my father. He answers on the fourth ring. His voice carries that familiar loose edge, the sound of Thomas Lane after a few drinks. Hey, kid, he says. Alara told us she's handling everything. You're fine. Right. I'm in the hospital. I say slowly. I had surgery. Right. Right. She mentioned that. Said you're doing okay. I stare at the phone after I hang up, the screen going dark in my hand. A little later, Marilyn comes back to adjust my medication. She studies me for a moment, then speaks quietly. That form your sister signed. It means she made it clear the hospital can't bill her for any of this. I don't respond. I just close my eyes and start counting the ceiling tiles again. You need to understand something about Alara and me. Growing up, Alara Voss was everything, and I revolved around her. Our father drank. Our mother cried. The house wasn't a home. It was something you endured. Alara was 5 years older, sharp, controlled. Always the one who stepped in when things got bad. She'd pull me into her room, put headphones over my ears, and whisper, "Just listen. I've got this." When I was 17. She drove me to my scholarship interview, sat in the car for 3 hours with the engine running so I wouldn't come back to a cold seat. When I got back, shaking, she smiled and said, "You're going to get it. You're going to leave this place, and I'm going to be proud of you." I believed her, every word. What I didn't see back then was the pattern. Every favor came with a cost. Every kindness had a memory attached to it. "I've done so much for you," she would say. Like it was nothing, like commenting on the weather. And each time, I felt that quiet weight settle in my chest, like I owed her something I could never fully repay. 5 years ago, Alara married Marcus Hale, a property developer with charm and ambition that filled every room he walked into. She moved into a beautiful house in the upscale part of Brighton Vale, joined charity committees, started introducing herself as Mrs. Hale at events, to her friends. I was just my little sister. Soren. She's a nurse. She'd tilt her head when she said it. Like it was sweet. Like it was small. Our grandmother, Evelyn Lane, understood before I ever did, the last time I saw her. She held my hand and said, "Your sister loves the image of family. You love the people themselves." I didn't understand then. I do now. By day 3 in the hospital, I'm propped up against pillows, trying to eat applesauce with my left hand because my right side is covered in bruises. That's when Caleb Turner walks in. Caleb and I went to college together. Caleb runs a small auto shop on the outskirts of town now. The kind of place where engines get treated like patients and every problem has a story behind it. We're not as close as we used to be, but he's the kind of person who shows up when it matters. He heard about the accident from someone we both knew and drove straight here. He drops into the visitor's chair, the one that's been empty until now, and sets a paper bag of donuts on the table beside me. Then he leans forward, elbows on his knees, and something in his expression shifts. "Soren, I need to tell you something." "Okay." "Your car got towed to Dalton's yard. I went over there this morning. Figured I'd check it out. See how bad it was. Insurance is going to need a report anyway." He pauses. rubbing his hands together like he's trying to warm them. The brake line didn't fail. He says, "It was cut. Clean. Like someone used a blade or a cutter. That doesn't just happen." The room tilts slightly, like the ground has shifted beneath me. "That's not possible." I say, "I took pictures." He replies, "I'll send them to your insurance company. But I wanted you to hear it from me first." I stare up at the ceiling tiles again. Caleb waits. "Who had access to your car?" he asks quietly. "Before the accident." And there it is. The question I don't want to answer. Because the night before, everything happened. I had dinner at my parents' house. My car sat in the driveway for hours. And Alara was there too. Caleb watches me carefully, like he's afraid of what I'm about to realize. And I understand then that he's not worried about the car. He's worried about me. On the fourth day, my phone rings at 9:14 in the morning. Alara's name lights up the screen. I let it ring 3 times before I answer. "Soren." Oh my God. I've been meaning to call. Things have been crazy with the gala, and Marcus has been out of town. "How are you feeling?" Her voice is smooth, warm, effortless. The voice of someone who hosts perfect dinners and never lets anything burn. "I have 3 broken ribs and a punctured lung." I say, I know. Mom told me the surgery went well." "That's amazing." "Listen, have they said when you'll be discharged? I need to plan ahead." I pause. "Plan what? The charity gala?" "It's coming up soon. I want to make sure we present a united family. People keep asking about you." She hasn't asked how the surgery felt. She hasn't asked about the pain, or whether I can breathe without it hurting, or if I can even stand up on my own. She's asking for a timeline. "I don't know when I'll be out." I say, "Well, keep me updated. And don't worry about the bills. I already spoke to the hospital. Everything's taken care of." Taken care of. She signs a document refusing responsibility and calls that taken care of. "Thanks." "Alara?" "Of course. That's what big sisters are for." "Love you." The line goes dead. I sit there holding the phone, and for the first time since the accident, something shifts inside me. Not the pain in my ribs. Something deeper. Caleb's voice echoes in my head. The brake line was cut. Alara's voice follows. I need to plan ahead. Plan. She needs to plan. Maybe Caleb is right. Maybe I should be afraid. What do you think about what my sister did? If you believe she was right to walk away from me in the hospital and secretly plan to take my inheritance, comment support. But if you think abandoning your own family and plotting against them for money is unforgivable, comment unforgivable. I'm really curious to see where you stand. That afternoon, a woman I've never seen before walks into my room carrying a leather briefcase and a presence that seems to quiet everything around her. "Soren Lane," she says. "I'm Victoria Hargrove. I oversee the trust your grandmother established." She looks to be in her early 50s. Her silver-streaked hair is cut sharp along her jaw. She doesn't sit until I nod. "I came because your sister contacted me 2 days ago." Victoria Hargrove says. "She asked about the incapacity clause in your grandmother's trust." Incapacity, if a beneficiary is declared legally unfit. The other can request temporary control of their share. She opens her briefcase and slides out a folder. "Most families ask about recovery." She continues calmly. "Your sister asked about money." The room feels smaller. The monitor beside me keeps beeping. "How much are we talking about?" I ask. Even though I already know, roughly $2.3 million total, split evenly between you and your sister. Half was released last year. Your portion, about $1.15 million, is scheduled for your 30th birthday, 11 months from now. I meet her eyes. "And if I'm declared incapacitated before then, She can petition to control your share, and in trust law, temporary can stretch for years. Victoria closes the folder. I've managed this trust for nearly a decade. Soren. Not once has your sister asked about your portion until now. My jaw tightens. Not from pain. Then what do I do? She places the folder gently on my lap. You let me help you. That evening, I call my mother. I repeat everything. The call, the clause, the timing. I stay calm. No accusations, just facts. Mom, please come see me. I need to talk to you in person. Silence. Then she does what she's always done. She follows the strongest voice. Ilara says this lawyer is overcomplicating things. She replies. She says the trust is fine. Mom, have you even visited me? Another silence. Longer this time. Then my father takes the phone. His voice is already heavy. It's early evening, which means he's been drinking. Your sister is handling everything. Thomas Lane says, stop making this harder. I close my eyes. Dad. Someone cut my brake line. That's dramatic. He snaps. You were exhausted. You said you pulled a long shift. I never said that. I haven't spoken to you. Ilara told us. I hear ice clinking in a glass. Good night. Dad. I end the call and let the phone fall onto the bed. A few minutes later, Marilyn comes in. She checks my vitals, adjusts the oxygen. Then she pauses, really looking at me. For what it's worth, she says quietly. I've seen a lot of families in this ward. The ones who don't show up. There's always a reason. She dims the lights and leaves. The room sinks into darkness. The machines hum. Time stretches. I lie there replaying everything. The brake line was cut. Ilara was at the house. 2 days later. She asked about the trust. She hasn't visited. She hasn't asked if I can breathe, and my parents chose her version without even hearing mine. I think about my grandmother, Evelyn Lane, the last Thanksgiving before she passed. She pulled me aside and said, your sister loves the idea of family. You love the people. Don't confuse the two. I didn't understand back then. Now I do. At 7 the next morning, I call Victoria. I want to protect my trust, I tell her, and I want to know exactly what my sister has been doing. We start documenting everything, quietly, carefully. Not for revenge, because someone tried to kill me, and no one in my family even asked why. Victoria is silent for a moment, then her voice lowers. There's something else. Soren. Your sister contacted a psychiatrist this week. Dr. Adrian Cole. She asked about having you evaluated for legal incapacity. My grip tightens around the phone. She's not waiting for you to recover, Victoria says. She's building a case. A cold weight settles in my chest. If she succeeds, she controls your share before you ever see a dollar. The ceiling tiles blur above me, 216 of them. I've counted enough times to be sure. Then we move faster. I say quietly, faster than she does. I take a breath. You need to understand my sister. The real version. Not the one people see online. Ilara married Marcus Hale because he was charming, confident, and promised her a life where money would never be a problem. For a while. He delivered. He flipped properties, closed deals, drove a black luxury SUV that turned heads wherever he went. They bought a house in Silverwood Heights. 4 bedrooms. Wide porch. The kind of place that looks successful before you even step inside. For 3 years. Everything worked. Then Marcus bet everything on a development called Crestline Ridge. 20 luxury homes on a hillside outside the city. He borrowed heavily, nearly $2 million. The project stalled. Permits dragged. Investors pulled out one by one. The bank started sending letters. Then more letters. Ilara found out when her card was declined at a restaurant, right in front of her social circle. That night, according to Victoria's investigator, Marcus sat across from her in their kitchen and said 6 words: "Fix this, or I'm done." Like she was responsible for patching a leak. Like their marriage was just another problem to solve. And Ilara looked around at everything she had built. The house, the events with her name on the program, the people who called her Mrs. Hale with admiration in their voices. She understood something in that moment. Without money, Marcus leaves. Without Marcus, the house goes. Without the house, the image disappears. And without that image, she's just Ilara again. My share of my grandmother's trust. Over $1 million. Less than a year away. It was the only solution she saw. My sister didn't do this because she hated me. She did it because she needed something. And I was the easiest way to get it. On the 7th day, I'm discharged with a thick folder of instructions. No lifting. No driving. Physical therapy several times a week. Follow-up scheduled. Breathing still hurts. I don't go back to my apartment. Ilara has a key. She's had it for years. For emergencies. She said once. I never asked whose emergencies she meant. I don't go to my parents either. Marilyn arranges something else. Her mother, Eleanor Cross, lives alone in a small house just outside town. Quiet road. Garden in the back. A cat that sleeps by the heater like it owns the place. She's 72. Sharp-minded. And doesn't ask questions she doesn't need answers to. You can stay as long as you want, Marilyn tells me, handing me a bag of clothes she picked up for me. Your family won't find you here. For the first time in my life, I don't tell my family where I am. I don't text Ilara. I don't update my father. I don't call my mother. I sit in Eleanor's guest room, ribs aching, breathing shallow and careful. And I feel something I haven't felt in years. Quiet. Not the kind that comes from being ignored, the kind that comes from being safe. That evening, Victoria sends me a secure email. The subject line reads, Gala, Brighton Vale Country Club, June 12th. The message is short. Your family's annual fundraiser is in 4 weeks. Your sister is leading it. She won't miss it. It's her stage. That's where she's strongest. And where she's most exposed. Think about that. I read it twice. Close the laptop. And for the first time since the crash, I sleep without dreams. 3 days later, my cousin Lena Ward calls. She's 26. My aunt's daughter. The only person in the family who replies to messages the same day. She's been my quiet connection through all of this. Now her voice is tight. Controlled. Like she's holding something back. Ilara hosted dinner last night. She says, at your parents' place. Okay. She cried. Real tears. Sat at the head of the table and told everyone you're pushing the family away. That you're unstable. That she's tried everything to help you. I close my eyes. The cat presses against my side. Warm and steady. What did they say? Your dad agreed with her. Your mom held her hand. Everyone comforted her. And you. I sat there and ate. I almost believed her. Soren. She was that convincing. I take a breath. Pain flares sharp across my ribs. There's more, Lena adds. Voice lower now. She called your clinic. Asked about mental health leave. Specifically what it takes to put someone on involuntary leave. The room goes still. She's not just talking. Lena says, she's building something. I stare at the ceiling. No hospital tiles here. Just old plaster. Cracked slightly like a river line. Thank you for telling me. I say. What are you going to do? I'm going to let her keep talking. The more she says, the deeper she traps herself. 2 days later, Victoria arrives at the house with a thick folder and a man I don't recognize. Soren. This is Daniel Reeves, former state investigator. He's working with me. He's in his 50s. Compact. Solid. The kind of man who wastes nothing, not even movement. He shakes my hand carefully, then sits across from me at the kitchen table. Let me show you what we have, he says, laying out photos. These are from the inspection and the insurance follow-up. Your brake line wasn't worn down. It was cut cleanly. He taps another document. This is a receipt from a hardware store in Eastbridge. Brake line cutters. Purchased 3 days before your accident. Paid with a card ending in 8823. I already know. Whose card, I ask anyway? Alara Hale. I stare at the number on the page. $35. That's what my life was worth. Daniel continues. We also obtained security footage from your parents' neighbor. Their camera covers part of the driveway. At 11:47 p.m. the night before the crash, someone walks from the house toward your car. The image is grainy, but the shape, the posture, the clothing. It's enough. Victoria opens another file. There's also a call record. Marcus Hale called your sister at 11:30 p.m. That call lasted 11 minutes. 17 minutes later, that figure appears on camera. 11 minutes. Then someone walks outside with a tool and takes my brakes apart. I lean back in the chair. My hands are steady. My voice is steady. Everything inside me is not. What's the next step, I ask. I stop for a second and look at the receipt again. A stranger's kitchen, broken ribs, and proof that my sister planned it all. For $35. Victoria calls me the next morning, and there's something different in her voice. Sharper. Focused. The tone of someone who knows time is running out. Alara contacted the bank yesterday. She says. She filed an emergency request, claiming you're incapacitated and unable to manage your finances. Can she do that? She can file the request, but the bank requires medical proof. She doesn't have it yet, but she's already reached out to a psychiatrist. And she's pushing. What did you do? I contacted the bank immediately. Confirmed you are fully competent. Made it clear that any transfer without your approval would result in legal action. Did they stop for now? But your sister won't stop. She'll look for another way. Victoria is right. That afternoon, my phone lights up with Alara's name. I let it ring. Let it go to voicemail. The message is soft, almost sweet. Hey, Soren. I heard you got a lawyer involved. That really hurts. I thought we could handle this as a family. Is this what Grandma would have wanted? She says it so gently you'd almost believe her. She uses our grandmother's name like a shield. I play the message for Victoria. She's testing you. Victoria says, seeing if guilt still works? It doesn't. Good. Because she'll push harder. I delete the voicemail, then I change my lock screen. The photo of me and Alara from last Christmas disappears. Replaced by a blank blue screen. It's a small change. But small changes matter when you're tearing down something built on lies. Daniel keeps digging. That's the polite way to describe it. The truth is, he doesn't stop. Within days, he maps out Marcus Hale's financial situation in full detail. The Crestline Ridge project never even started construction. Permits stalled. Environmental issues delayed everything. Investors backed out. Marcus now owes close to $2 million across multiple lenders, and the interest alone is crushing him. Then Daniel finds something else. Marcus has been meeting with a divorce attorney 3 times in the past 2 months. He's preparing to leave her. Daniel tells me, but he's still helping her for now. Why he's hedging, if Alara gets your money, He stays long enough to claim half. If she doesn't, he walks. I sit there, letting it sink in. My sister destroyed my brakes to keep a husband who's already planning his exit, and that husband is helping her take my money while planning to take hers. Does she know I ask? I don't think so. So everything she's doing, the lies, the manipulation, the legal moves, it's all to save something that's already gone. I look out the kitchen window. A small bird lands on the feeder, head tilting like it's watching. My sister is desperate. Her husband is calculating, and I'm the only one who sees the entire truth. That Sunday, I go to my parents' house. I know it's a risk. Victoria warned me not to, but I need to try one last time. My father, Thomas, opens the door. He smells like alcohol and soap. His face shifts when he sees me. Surprise, guilt, annoyance. Soren, we didn't know you were coming. I know. I walk in and sit at the kitchen table. My mother is there, peeling vegetables. She doesn't look up. Her hands keep moving, steady, repetitive. Like stopping would force her to face something she doesn't want to see. I place 2 papers on the table. The brake inspection report, the purchase receipt. I'm not asking you to choose sides. I say, I'm asking you to look. My father glances at them but doesn't touch them. This is ridiculous. He mutters, your sister would never do something like this. Then read it. I say quietly, he doesn't. He pushes the papers slightly away, like they don't belong there, like they might burn him if he gets too close. My mother stops peeling. The knife slows, then stills completely in her hand. She doesn't look at me right away. Instead, she looks down at the papers I placed on the table, her eyes moving across the first few lines like she's trying to understand something she doesn't want to believe. For a moment, I think she might actually read them, but then she sets the knife aside. Alara told me you might do this, she says quietly. She said you'd try to turn us against her. There's no anger in her voice, just something tired, something resigned. I feel something inside me tighten. I push my chair back and stand. The legs scrape against the floor, sharp and loud in the silence of the kitchen. It feels final. I'm not trying to turn you against anyone, I say. My voice is steady. Even though everything inside me is not, I'm trying to stay alive. And you won't even read 2 pages. Neither of them answers. Neither of them moves. So I walk out. The door closes behind me with a sound that echoes longer than it should. Outside, the air feels colder than it did when I arrived. I sit in my car and don't start the engine right away. My hands rest on the steering wheel, gripping it tightly. In the exact same position they were in the night everything went wrong. The memory hits me all at once. The curve, the brake pedal sinking, the moment I realized something wasn't right. And for the first time since all of this started, I break. Not loudly, not dramatically, just quiet tears that come without warning and don't stop right away. I let them fall, because there's no one here to see them. No one here to tell me I'm overreacting. No one here to rewrite what happened. When it passes, I take a breath, wipe my face, and start the engine. And this time, when I pull away from the house, I don't check the rearview mirror. I don't need to. The next 3 weeks move slowly, almost like time itself is being careful with me. Healing doesn't happen all at once. It doesn't arrive in a single moment where everything suddenly feels better. It fades in. The pain shifts. The sharp edges dull. My ribs stop screaming with every breath and settle into a constant ache that reminds me they're still there, still healing, still not ready to be forgotten. Twice a week, I do physical therapy in Eleanor's living room. The space is quiet, filled with soft light and the occasional sound of her cat moving across the floor. The cat watches me like it's supervising every movement, judging every stretch and every slow breath I take. It's almost comforting. Meanwhile, Victoria works. Methodically. Precisely. Every piece of evidence is collected, organized, labeled, and placed into a growing binder that becomes heavier with each passing day. The brake inspection report, Caleb's photographs, the receipt from the store, security footage from the neighbor's camera, phone records showing the timing of calls, Alara's contact with the bank, her inquiries to the psychiatrist, Marilyn's written statement about the night I was in the hospital. Each piece on its own might be explained away. Together, they form something undeniable. Then Daniel adds one more detail. Marcus purchased gloves the same day as the cutters. Same store, same transaction, $42 and change. That's what it cost to try to erase me. I stare at that number longer than I expect to. Not because of the money, because of what it represents. How something so small could be used to destroy something so big. Victoria doesn't hesitate. She files 2 actions at the same time. A criminal complaint for tampering with my vehicle, and a civil petition to remove Alara from the trust under a clause that disqualifies any beneficiary who attempts to harm another. The criminal case will take time. She tells me during one of our calls, but the civil case will move faster. And the gala is in 10 days. I pause. You think that matters, I ask. I think your sister lives for an audience, Victoria says. And the only way to stop a performance is to expose it in front of one. 10 days. The number hangs in the air like a countdown. Lena becomes my connection to everything happening on the other side. She calls me often, sometimes more than once a day, updating me like she's reporting from somewhere I chose to leave behind. Alara posted again. She tells me one afternoon. Her voice is flat, almost detached. She's at the country club, arranging flowers. Caption says family means everything. How many likes, I ask? Over 200. Your mom left a heart. I almost laugh. Almost. Lena tells me about a lunch Alara hosted for her charity circle. Everything was perfect. The setting, the food, the way she carried herself, and the story she told. That I was recovering. But difficult. That she had tried everything to help me, but I wouldn't let her. Did anyone question her, I ask? No. Lena says. They ordered dessert. That answer says more than anything else. Then Lena adds one more detail. Alara put your name on the guest list for the gala. She says, she wants you there? Why? So she can show everyone everything is fine, that everything is still under control, that nothing is broken. I hold the invitation later that night. The paper is thick, expensive. My name is written in careful, practiced handwriting. It looks perfect. Just like everything she shows the world. I'll be there. I tell Lena. She hesitates. What are you going to do? I look at the invitation for a long moment before answering. I'm going to let her have her stage. I say. And then I'm going to give her something she can't perform her way out of. There's silence on the other end of the line. Then she says quietly, I'll save you a seat. 10 days pass faster than I expect. Suddenly, there are only 3 left. Victoria and I meet at a small diner outside of town. Neutral ground. Quiet. She slides a single sheet of paper across the table toward me. Everything is there. The break line, the receipt, the footage, the phone calls, the trust, the psychiatrist. All of it condensed into one page. I read it once. Then again. I'll put this in an envelope. I say finally, and give it to her privately. Victoria studies me. No speech she asks. No audience. And then I meet her gaze. I watch what she does. I say, because she can act her way through anything until she knows the truth is already out. Victoria nods slowly. What if she stays calm? She won't. I fold the paper carefully, slide it into a white envelope, and seal it. The sound of it closing feels louder than it should. Final. I place it in my bag and zip it shut. I don't need a microphone. I don't need a stage. I just need her to read it. The same Marilyn who checked on me every 2 hours for 5 days. The same Marilyn who watched Alara sign that waiver and leave after 20 minutes. The same Marilyn who covered me with a blanket when no one else stayed. She looks up from her chart, removes her glasses, folds her hands, and says, "She was discharged 4 days ago. You'd know that if you had visited more than once." Alara's face stays still for a full 3 seconds. Then something shifts behind her eyes. Not guilt, not regret. Fear. Because if I left without telling anyone, then I'm no longer someone she can manage. "Where is she?" Alara asks, her voice tightening. "Where did she go?" "I'm a nurse," Marilyn replies evenly. "Not a tracking device." Alara turns sharply and walks out, heels striking hard against the floor, already pulling out her phone before the elevator doors open. Later, Marilyn tells me it was the first time she had ever seen my sister look scared, and she admits, quietly, that it felt deserved. I wasn't there to see it, but I can picture it perfectly. And for the first time since this began, something inside me settles. Maybe I was never the one losing control. If this story feels familiar, tell me. I want to know, because what happens next is where everything changes. Within 2 days, Ilara starts to unravel. Lena gets the first call. Ilara's voice is high, fast, almost breaking. "Have you heard from Soren? Do you know where she is?" Lena lies smoothly. "No. Maybe she just needed space." Space. Ilara snaps. She needs to come home. Then she calls the clinic. They tell her I'm on extended leave. Nothing more. She calls my mother next. But my mother has nothing to give. Because I told her nothing. That evening. Lena calls me. She's panicking. She says, she told Marcus. She knows. She has to know. "What did he say?" he said. "Then we move faster on the trust." Of course he did. Alara makes one last attempt. She contacts the psychiatrist, pushing for an emergency evaluation, but he refuses. He can't assess someone who isn't present. What she doesn't know is that Victoria already warned him. Any attempt without my consent would trigger consequences. So now Ilara has nothing. No access to the trust, no medical declaration, no idea where I am, and pressure closing in from every direction. She has one move left. The gala, 200 guests, a microphone. Her name printed on the program. The last stage she believes she controls. The night before, I sit in Eleanor's guest room. The envelope rests beside me. The binder lies open. The cat curls at my feet. I think about my grandmother. Not the money, not the trust. Her hands, thin, warm, always holding mine a little longer than needed. The last time I saw her, she whispered, "Promise me you'll never let anyone make you feel like you deserve less than what's yours." I promised. 2 days later, she was gone. I choose my clothes. Simple. Quiet. I'm not going there to impress anyone. I'm going as myself. Lena calls that night. She's been on the phone all day. Something's off. The police spoke to her. That explains it. I say. She snapped at the florist earlier. Over details. For a moment. I almost feel something. Almost. Then I remember the break line. $35. I'll see you tomorrow. I tell her. I saved you a seat. She says. Near the exit. Victoria calls later. She knows we're closing in. She says, tomorrow will be heavy. I look at the envelope again. I'm ready. And that night, for the first time in weeks, I sleep before midnight. The next evening, the ballroom glows. White tablecloths, crystal glasses, perfect arrangements, soft music filling the air. Guests move through the room like part of a performance, and at the center of it all stands Ilara, dressed in red, smiling, perfect. I walk in at 6:45. The room doesn't fall silent, but it shifts. Heads turn, voices lower. She sees me, for a fraction of a second. Something real crosses her face. Her smile falters. Her eyes widen. Then it disappears. The mask returns, and she walks toward me, arms open. They're just witnesses, and that's all I ever needed. Not to shame my sister, not to destroy her publicly, just to make sure the truth had a room full of people who heard it. Victoria walks me toward the exit. You handled that well, she says. I shake my head. I don't feel composed. I feel exhausted. That's normal, she replies. The adrenaline fades. What's left is the truth. And the truth is heavy. I step outside. The night air is quiet. The parking lot is almost empty. Ilara's car is already gone. I thought I would feel like I had won something. I don't. It feels like I just let go of someone who stopped being my sister the moment she chose money over my life. Lena drives me home in silence. After that, everything happens quickly. The first week. The police file charges. Reckless endangerment. They tell Victoria they're reviewing the evidence for something more serious. Attempted murder is still on the table, depending on what the forensic reports confirm. If it escalates, Ilara could face years behind bars. The second week. Marcus files for divorce. 3 days after the gala. No warning. No conversation. Ilara finds out when the documents arrive at her front door. According to Lena, she sits on the steps for a long time, reading the pages again and again before going inside and closing every curtain. Marcus's lawyer is now part of the investigation. The receipt? The tools? The timing of that late-night call. It's enough for the police to start asking questions. By the third week, the charity board sends Ilara a formal letter. Polite, professional, final. They thank her for her service and inform her that she is no longer in charge. No one reaches out. No one defends her. Her social media goes silent. Victoria completes the legal process on the trust. A judge reviews the clause my grandmother included, the one that removes any beneficiary who tries to harm another. The evidence is clear. Ilara's portion is frozen while the case moves forward. If she's convicted, she loses everything permanently. Victoria calls me with the update. Her voice is calm, professional. But I hear something underneath. Maybe relief, maybe satisfaction. Your trust is secure. She says, your sister's portion is frozen, and Marcus has been served. I thank her, end the call, and sit there in the quiet. It doesn't feel like victory. It feels like survival. A few days later, my parents come to my apartment. Thursday afternoon, I've moved back in, changed the locks, added a deadbolt. The spare key is with Lena now. The space looks the same. I don't. My father knocks. When I open the door, he's sober. Completely. His eyes are clear, tired but steady. He's dressed neatly, like he's trying. My mother stands behind him, holding a casserole dish. That small, familiar gesture almost makes me smile. Something bad happens, and she brings food. I let them in. We sit at the kitchen table. No one speaks at first. My mother places the dish on the counter, then folds her hands, unfolds them, then folds them again. I should have read those papers, she says softly. I should have come to the hospital. My father stares down at the table. I believed her. He admits. It was easier. I listen. I don't interrupt. I don't raise my voice. There's nothing left to prove. I love you, I say finally. And I mean it. But that doesn't mean everything goes back to normal. You chose her version of the truth for years. I need time. My mother's expression breaks. My father nods slowly, like it costs him something to do it. How much time, she asks. I don't know. That's the truth. My father stands, resting his hand on the chair for a second, not because he's unsteady from alcohol, but because this is heavier than that. Your grandmother would be proud of you, he says quietly. I wish I could say the same for myself. They leave. The casserole stays. I eat it alone that night, and it tastes exactly like home. A week later, a letter arrives, delivered by Alara's attorney, not by her. Plain paper, handwritten. I sit at the kitchen table with a cup of coffee and open it. There's no apology. She was never good at those. Instead, she writes the truth. I didn't plan it for long. Just one night. Marcus said he was leaving. I panicked. That doesn't excuse it. But I wasn't always this person. 9 sentences, no excuses, no pleading, just something tired and stripped down. I read it twice. Then I set it aside and stare out the window. I remember her at 15. The night everything in our house shattered. She pulled me into her room, covered my ears, held me until I stopped shaking. She was just a kid, trying to protect me, and I remember her now, standing in the dark with a tool in her hand, cutting the brakes on my car because someone told her to fix a problem. Both of those versions are real. Both are Alara. I fold the letter and place it in the drawer, not in the trash, not with the evidence, not somewhere I'll see it every day, just somewhere it can exist without owning me. I leave the letter in the drawer, not hidden, not erased, just there. A truth that exists without taking over my life. She wasn't always like this, but she chose to become this person, and I can mourn who she used to be without forgiving who she became. I close the drawer and finish my coffee. It's cold now, but I drink it anyway. That Friday night, Lena shows up with grocery bags and a playlist already playing from her phone. We're making pasta, she announces, slipping off her shoes at the door. Grandma Evelyn's recipe, the one with brown butter and sage. We cook together in my small kitchen, windows open, cool air drifting in. She chops garlic like she's been trained professionally. I watch the butter melt, turning from pale gold to deep amber, the smell filling the room, warm and familiar. Grandma always said you were the strong one, Lena says, still focused on the cutting board. I'm not strong, I reply. I just got tired of carrying everything alone. That's the same thing, she says. We eat at the same table where I read that letter, where I showed my parents the truth, where I sat alone too many nights. But tonight feels different. 2 plates, 2 glasses. Bread on the table because Lena insists it helps. Later, Caleb drops by to return a book he borrowed months ago. He stays, eats more than he planned, tells a story about a customer who brought in a lawnmower for an oil change. We laugh, a real laugh, the kind that fills your chest, even if it still hurts a little. Marilyn calls to check in. Eleanor sends a message saying the cat misses me. I look around the kitchen. These people, a cousin, a friend, a nurse, a woman who opened her home to me. They're not the family I was born into. They're the family I have now, or maybe the ones who chose me. Because family isn't about blood. It's about who shows up when you need them most. 6 months later. I returned to the clinic in September. And for the first time in a long while, my life feels like it has a rhythm again. Not perfect, not untouched, but steady. On my first shift back, the front doors slide open, and everything looks exactly the same. The same chairs in the waiting area, the same muted hum of conversations, the same faint smell of antiseptic and coffee blending together in a way that only makes sense in a place like this. Carla is behind the front desk, just like she has been for over 20 years. She looks up, sees me, and smiles in that calm, familiar way of hers. No surprise, no drama, just recognition. "Good to have you back," she says, handing me a cup of coffee like no time has passed at all. Flu season starting early. That's it. No speeches, no questions, just work waiting for me. And I realize, standing there with that warm cup in my hands, that I miss this more than I ever thought I would. There's something comforting about routine, about knowing what comes next, about being needed for something simple and real. My body is still healing, but it's stronger now. The pain is no longer sharp and overwhelming. It lingers quietly, like a reminder of what happened. But it doesn't control me anymore. I move through the day slowly at first. Careful, aware of every breath, every step. But as the hours pass, something settles into place. This is where I belong. The second part of the trust comes through on my 30th birthday, a Tuesday in October. If you looked at the calendar, it would seem like any other day. Nothing special, nothing marked. But underneath that quiet surface, everything shifts. Victoria calls me in the morning. Her voice is steady, professional. But there's a softness to it this time. "The transfer is complete," she says. $1.15 million. The number sits there for a moment, heavy and real. When I check my account, it feels less like receiving something and more like closing a chapter. Like a line has finally been drawn between what happened and what comes next. I don't rush to spend it. I don't celebrate it. Instead, I take a portion of it and set up something that feels right. A scholarship in my grandmother's name for nursing students at the local community college. I think about her when I do it. The way she used to talk about nurses. They're the only ones who really listen, she would say. She believed that deeply, and I think she would have liked this. My father changes too, in his own quiet way. About 6 weeks after the gala, he joins a recovery program. At first, I don't believe it will last. I've seen him try before, but this time is different. He goes to meetings twice a week, every week. He stops drinking completely. He doesn't talk much about it. In fact, he doesn't talk much at all. But when he does, his words are slower, more deliberate, like he's choosing them carefully. Like he's learning how to speak honestly again after years of hiding behind something else. It's not perfect, but it's real. My mother calls me every Sunday at noon. At first, I almost don't answer. Not because I don't want to, but because I don't know what to expect. But I do. Every time. The calls are short. 5 minutes, sometimes 7. She tells me about her garden, what's growing, what didn't survive the weather. I tell her about the clinic, about patients, about small, ordinary things. We don't talk about Alara, not once. There's a quiet understanding between us, a space neither of us is ready to step into yet. The conversations are awkward sometimes, There are pauses, moments where neither of us knows what to say next, but they're honest. And for now, that's enough. I haven't invited them over yet. Maybe one day I will, but not now. Some things take time. Alara is still waiting for trial. The charges against her were increased after the forensic reports confirmed what we already knew. The tool marks matched. There was no doubt left. She's out on bail, living somewhere across the county, out of sight, but not out of consequence. Marcus is gone. He left quietly, just like that. No explanation, no closure. In a way, it feels fitting. No one in the family talks about her anymore. At Sunday dinners, her chair is still there. No one moves it. No one fills it. It remains empty, like a space everyone sees but no one acknowledges. And somehow, that silence says more than any argument ever could. Some absences are louder than anything spoken. One Saturday morning in November, I drive out to the cemetery. The air is cool, crisp, the kind that makes you breathe a little deeper without thinking about it. I bring a bouquet of white flowers, my grandmother's favorite. Her headstone is simple, just her name, and a few words beneath it. Nothing elaborate, nothing unnecessary. I kneel down, place the flowers carefully, and brush away a few leaves that have gathered at the base. Then I stand there for a while, hands in my coat pockets, looking at her name. I kept my promise. I say quietly. The words feel heavier spoken out loud. I didn't let anyone make me feel like I deserved less. The wind moves through the trees, soft but steady. Leaves fall slowly, drifting down around me in shades of gold and amber. And I think about everything. The hospital room, the empty chair, Marilyn's voice telling me the truth when no one else would. The photographs, the evidence, the envelope in my hands that night, and Alara's face when she realized I knew. But I also think about her from years ago, the version of her who protected me, who held me together when everything around us was falling apart. That version of her still exists in my memory, and it always will. That version of her will always exist in my memory, but it doesn't get to erase what she became. I reach out and rest my hand lightly against the headstone, just for a second, feeling the cold surface beneath my fingers. Then I step back, turn around, and walk toward my car without looking behind me again. That's where this story ends. I woke up in a hospital bed, alone, broken, and confused, and in the middle of all that pain. I learned that the person I trusted most had tried to take everything from me. Not just money, not just security, my life. There's a kind of silence that comes after something like that. Not the peaceful kind, the kind that leaves you questioning every memory, every moment, every word you thought was real. For a long time, I kept going back to the same question. How do you reconcile the person who protected you with the person who betrayed you? And the answer, at least for me, is this: you don't reconcile it. You accept that both versions existed, and you decide which one gets to have power over your future. For a while, I thought healing would mean understanding her, finding some explanation that made it all make sense. But healing didn't come from understanding her. It came from choosing myself, choosing to believe what I saw, what I experienced, what I survived, choosing to stop making excuses for someone who never once stopped to think about what they were doing to me. That choice didn't feel strong or brave in the moment. It felt quiet. It felt like locking a door and not opening it again, even when part of you still remembers what it felt like when that door was safe. There are still moments when I think about her. Not the version standing in the driveway with a tool in her hand, but the one who sat beside me on the floor when I was a child, telling me everything would be okay. I let myself remember that, but I don't let it rewrite what happened. because the truth matters more than the memory. And the truth is simple. She made a choice. And so did I. Now, my life looks different. Quieter. Maybe smaller in some ways. But real. There's a rhythm to my days again. Mornings at the clinic. Conversations with patients who need someone to listen. Evenings at home. Sometimes with Lena. Sometimes with Caleb. Sometimes alone, but not lonely. The kitchen table that once felt like a place where everything fell apart is now where things come together. Meals shared. Conversations that don't feel forced. Laughter that doesn't have an edge to it. I used to think family was something fixed, something you were born into, something you had to hold on to no matter what. Now I know better. Family is built. It's chosen. It's proven over time. In moments that matter. It's the person who shows up when you're at your lowest. It's the person who stays when there's nothing to gain. It's the person who tells you the truth, even when it's uncomfortable, because they care more about you than they do about appearances. That's what I have now, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. If there's one thing this experience taught me, it's that you don't owe anyone access to your life just because they share your blood. You don't owe them your silence. You don't owe them your forgiveness. And you definitely don't owe them the chance to hurt you again. What you owe yourself is honesty, the kind that's hard to face, the kind that forces you to see people for who they really are, not who you wish they could be. And once you see it, you don't have to argue with it. You don't have to explain it. You just have to decide what you're going to do with it. For me, the answer was simple. I chose peace. Not the kind that comes from pretending everything is fine, but the kind that comes from knowing I'm no longer living inside someone else's version of reality. I chose boundaries. I chose distance. I chose a life where I don't have to question whether the people around me have my best interests at heart. And that choice changed everything. So if you're listening to this, and something in this story feels familiar, I want you to know you're not alone. Maybe your situation looks different. Maybe it's not as extreme. Maybe it's quieter, harder to explain. But if someone in your life is using the word family as a reason to hurt you, control you, or take from you, you have the right to step back. You have the right to protect yourself. You have the right to choose something better. It won't be easy. It won't feel good at first. But it will be worth it. Because on the other side of that decision is something you can't fake. Freedom. And once you have that, everything else starts to fall into place. So that's my story. I survived something I never thought I would. And, in the process, I found a version of my life that finally feels like it belongs to me. If this story meant something to you, I'd really like to hear your thoughts. Have you ever had to set boundaries with someone in your family? Or did you choose to stay and try to make it work? There's no right or wrong answer, just your truth. Leave a comment and share your experience. If this story touched something inside you, don't just scroll away. Take a moment to subscribe, like, and share, because your voice matters more than you think. When you comment and tell your own story, you're not just watching, you're helping someone else feel less alone. This community grows stronger with every honest word you share, so if you've ever faced something similar, or even just felt something today, let it be heard. I'm truly grateful you're here. See you in the next story.
Welcome to Family Confessions. Our stories go beyond entertainment, helping viewers recognize toxic behaviors, understand boundaries, and reflect on their relationships, while reinforcing self-worth and the strength to heal and move forward. Each video follows a structured workflow ensuring quality and value for our audience. Thank you for being here.